Anyway, all right. What's up, everybody? It's DJ Stu, 3 Black Geeks. We back here again with D and CJ. All right, y'all. This has been a long time in the making for a proper Terminator film.
How sad is it that you had to wait 30 years for that, nigga?
I don't know.
So many mulligans.
I want to say, you know what? Yeah, thank you, Chris. The fact that we had to go through 3 mulligans. I don't know what movie franchise does that where you're given that many mulligans and you finally get it right.
Well, when you're Fox, you got to run your properties into the ground a bit, so you know.
I mean, 6 of them though. Let's just be real, Chris. That's 6.
There were 6 films.
But when we mentioned this, and everybody, please listen to our whole talk about from Terminator 1 to Genesis. We talked about all of them, but we said this when we did Genesis. It made too much money. All the movies made money.
Yeah,
that's why they kept going.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem.
It's the Fox model.
It's the Fox model, but that's the biggest problem with this franchise in general is that no matter what, it always makes money. And it doesn't even matter how bad the movie is. People will go see Terminator if you have the following things in your movie. Number one, time travel. Number 2, Arnold. In some way, shape, or form, Arnold has to be in a Terminator movie. Could you imagine a Terminator movie without Arnold? We almost got that with Salvation.
Technically, Salvation didn't have fucking Arnold, if you want to really think about it. I don't count that CGI bullshit.
It counts. It counts.
You remember, guys, the selling point to everybody was there was going to be a CG Arnold in there, and everybody.
But the selling point for Salvation, if we want to be fair about it, unlike Genesis and 3, was always Christian Bale. Because he was the face of the fucking franchise in Salvation. It wasn't like we heard about the Arnold CGI shit, but they put Christian Bale front and fucking center in that T-800, and that's it.
Hey, CJ, check this out. While that may be true, that may be very, very true, that Christian Bale was pushed front and center for him. Yeah, he's John Connor. He even said, "I'll be back in the movie." Nobody cared. And again, and also, nobody cared about that because the moment we heard Schwarzenegger confirmed that he gave his likeness for this movie, that was the main reason that we went to go see it. In fact, that was my reason of going to see it in theaters.
That's very short-sighted because
I would say that's actually number 2.
Yeah,
I would actually say it's number 2. Actually,
no, because that's what I would. No, because the whole time.
I agree with.
Hold on, because the whole time that they had mentioned wait, hold on. The whole time that they mentioned that, I said, okay, I just want to see when it comes. When does it come? I know it's going to be somewhere towards the end of the movie. He's going to show up. He's not going to say anything. It's just going to be his likeness, and that's all I need. Having him in the movie is what I needed.
See, I was over Arnold, so I was like, I don't really need him to be in the movie for it to function. Just show me the T-800, and we're fine.
Well, hold on. Remember, another selling thing about Salvation wasn't just Christian Bale. Remember, that was the movie where Christian Bale had that breakdown.
And that's also the selling point. Yeah,
that also got people to watch the movie, and then we watched it, and then we just saw it.
And sadly,
we talked about it during Salvation. There are some good ideas, and there's a couple of good scenes, but that does not save a movie.
And sadly, too, Fox was trying to make Fetch happen with Sam Worthington. God knows why. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But we're going. Sorry, like I was saying. But we're here to talk about Terminator Dark Fate.
This movie.
Once again, you got it right. It took 5 of you to put this story together, but you got it right.
This movie, most movies, they blatantly take from other movies and stuff. We talked about, I think me and Sue talked about it with Joker and how it took Kings of Comedy and, all the other movies, right? This movie, it felt like the writers blatantly took from 3, Salvation, and Genesis and was like, hey, hold our beer. We can do it way better than you guys. Like, between Gabriel Luna's Terminator, who is like, it felt like a fully realized version of the TX of what it should have been.
And that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying when we were watching the movie. Like, when I saw him show up, I said, you know what? This is what the TX was supposed to be. This is how the
It
TX
can split
should have
off,
been.
and it was broken as shit because the TX to
Dude.
me in Terminator 3, it was like, all right, it has nanomachines and it can affect other machines. That's fine, but like I just didn't feel it could do more. And in this movie, it was like, oh no, we could split from the exoskeleton and do other shit.
Like
to
me, something was off with the TX. And that's why when this new Terminator called the Rev-9, which by the way is a reference from the Bible, the Rev-9, the Rev-9 in this movie he was Noob Saibot.
Yeah, pretty much.
He was cyborg Noob Saibot.
Remember, I told Eris this earlier, where I said that's where it borrowed. I think this Terminator, like you said, the Rev-9, I think it borrowed a lot from Genesis too. And Eric's like, what do you mean by that? Meaning, okay, what are the rules with you again? You can do that?
Yeah. John Connor was like part robot, part 2. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you remember in Genesis, that robot, that Terminator felt like it could do pretty much everything, except when against Jai, well, I don't want to talk about that nigga, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But still, it like that one. Like now, here's the funny thing. I agree with you on that one too. The TX felt so revolutionary. It felt good, but the problem about it was, then y'all felt the whole time watching. It was like this thing's beatable.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's like that's what makes this one, the Rev-9, feel like. As soon as they show it splitting from the robot, I was like, oh, that's new.
Nigga.
Oh shit!
And look, it is so funny when you see it, and the effect. Everybody, it's a good looking effect, and it does it. And then guess what? It doesn't give it to you like once, like John Nimber. It does the John Nimber thing where, oh, you liked it the first time, we'll watch it this time. We'll watch it that time. We'll watch it again.
But I mean,
because it does it, and when it does it is always impressive.
And it's cool because it feels as though his robotic body functions separately from his T-1000 body. It feels that way, at least.
You know what it also reminded me of? The RX-0 Gundam, the unicorn.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. When he goes full, it's got his normal mode, and then when it goes into full unicorn mode, you get the green and the red.
Now, the interesting thing about this whole thing is this.
Just throw in every time Arnold tries to take a punch at it. The only thing missing was dude just saying nano machine, son.
Basically. I mean, like the whole basis of the movie, it kind of plays into what Sarah said at the end of Terminator 2 about like, and you can say a little bit in Terminator 3 in the fact that Judgment Day is going to fucking happen. And I like the fact that they kept that, but without beating it over the head of John is important, John is important, John is important. You get that, guys? John Connor, he's so important. It's like, no, fuck all that.
I've always felt like the ship has sailed of trying to portray John as this super mega, oh my god, he's the second coming of Jesus, leader of the resistance, because the fact that you had so many blunders of movies, and again, I give much respect to Salvation because you did what I wanted you to do, tell the story in the future. Since Judgment Day is inevitable, have it take place in the future and just end the franchise there. But again, you give us this idea, you give us this good starting point. What's the sequel? We go back in time again.
Yeah, and the thing about this is that
you know what's kind of funny. Mm-hmm. You know what's kind of funny is that you say that John went through all these things. You know what? I guess Genesis really did just like super destroy everything we liked about Terminator, because even in that way, it was like John Connor, and I know he's more in shape than that, but it's like John Connor's a fat guy.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like they put him, like Sue said, they put him as this pariah. He's Jesus, and it's like, yeah, because again, Salvation. When you watch him, I'm like, John Connor is doing everything. He jumps out of a helicopter and swims to a sub underwater. What the fuck? This guy's fighting Terminators and just taking them out like it's effortless and stuff until he gets injured due to plot. It's like, okay, whatever.
We see where that famous scar came from T2. We see it show up in Salvation.
Yeah.
And we find out, oh, he actually had a heart replacement.
Yeah, and
interesting.
And the thing about this too, and with Dark Fate taking another thing from another franchise, the character of Grace, she's part human, part was it augmented?
She's an augmented.
She's not
super
full.
soldier.
She's like full blown cyborg like Sam Worthington was in Salvation.
Yeah, he was a straight up cyborg. Yeah,
she's part human because again, this is a different future. People can be augmented, but at the expense of one, they gotta take daily shots to keep their metabolism up in order to keep, because clearly that makes sense. If they're not gonna go full cyborg, there has to be some sort of like hindrance to be
like I would say the hindrance for her is she's designed for combat against the Rev-9 for like really short
literally
bursts.
like 3-minute bursts.
It's like using, here we go into Dragon Ball rules. It's like using the Kaioken technique on day one.
Basically.
Yeah, it really is. But that's the one thing that actually kind of makes her cool, is that she is human. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, she is human.
She isn't dead.
Yeah, you can go through. Yeah, you can go through shit. You know, you can run through walls and shit and do all that Neo off the Matrix Kung Fu. But eventually, you're gonna fall to one knee, going, "Oh my God, I'm about to have a fucking heart attack."
I need water.
So
Where's the food?
Like, I need water, I need food, I need meds. I just took an arrow. I just took an arrow to the knee. Help me out here.
Does anybody got insulin? Anybody
Basically,
got insulin?
I mean, so like the movie is basically going off Sarah saying that the inevitable is going to happen. Who knows what the future is going to hold? And I like that they transformed it into, okay, clearly John isn't going to be the important factor. There's somebody else that's going to be the factor this time, and that was perfect.
Yeah,
because you don't discount the first two. It just plays into the future just changed. Because let's be real, it goes back to what Grace tells her. Yeah, it was another AI that's in the future, and Sarah's like, son of a bitch.
Like they don't learn.
Time moves on. Time moves on because it's like, yeah, you may have stopped Judgment Day, but you haven't fully killed the threat. It's the same thing. All you did was, by saving John and all the rest of that, all that was, you tied off that one timeline. That timeline is not going to exist in the future because obviously it's 2000, like in this movie, it's 2019 now.
Yeah.
So everything's been pushed over.
No, it's actually 2020.
I was thinking the same
2020,
thing.
either which way, 2020 or whatever, but either which way.
It takes place in 2020, and Grace came from 2042.
Yeah, but still, but you remember in the previous movies though, wasn't it like 20? Was it around 2020 that was supposed to happen?
No, it was not.
No,
it was not.
Hold
not
on,
Salvation.
Actually, Salvation was 2018.
Yeah, I'm about to say yes. Salvation was in this decade. Everything we saw before then was like, 2007, 2010, you know what I mean? So all it is,
not really.
2029, that's when it happened.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 2029. Like in the case of the previous films, Judgment Day happened on 1997, and which of course after that, like after the first time it got stopped, it eventually happened in 2003. And then with that's when the war took place, which is what we saw in Salvation, where it was 2018. Now it was 2023 when the first T-800 and Reese go back in time to 1984.
Yeah.
You know what they do a good job of? They actually kind of do a good job of actually describing how the war came about, what came first and all the rest of that.
Well, Grace dumps it, but it works.
Yeah, it was an info dump. It was a real info dump, but it was one of the good ones because especially if you're a fan of this whole fucking series, you want to know, okay, so what happened first? Okay, so everybody got blindsided. Then the military showed up and fucked up, and then everybody started turning on themselves.
Yeah, it was basically the power went out.
Actually, the way it went was it was a program to fight cyber war crimes, aka Skynet, now going by the name of Legion. Legion immediately, without warning, without any type of crazy glitches, with no type of crazy glitches, or again, no Air Force captain pushing a button to say yes or no to launch the program. None of that happened.
That, Chris?
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Chris? Somebody in the Air Force, not Dyson, as you keep on trying to put it on.
All I'm saying is
none of that.
Put that crime on the brother. I don't like that.
All of that, none of that took place. It just happened.
No power.
It's like no power, no warning, no nothing. Everything. First thing it did caused a blackout. It caused every type of anything that was running on computer systems to just immediately fail. Sees humans as a threat, and then it starts the extinction. And again, as time goes on, first millions died, then billions died when the food supply ran out.
Well, in this one, she didn't even mention. She was basically saying it goes dark. Then the military used nukes to do kind of like EMP spreads.
Yeah,
and then that shit didn't fucking work. And that's when everybody turned on each other.
Yeah, because again, the food, as soon as the food supply was gone, everybody was like you said, they turned on each other, and they were basically doing the job of the machines easily. It's like, yeah, we can turn on each other. Therefore, the Terminators don't need to come after us.
And
which is why in that future, the Terminators are far, far more advanced than what we got with Skynet.
Yeah,
it's like unfair too. Like, it was already bad enough in Salvation. These motherfuckers had like the little fucking walkers that was on like Star Wars. It's bad enough they had one of them. But these things are unfair. Some cheating ass Dark Souls level bullshit.
Did you guys like the return of the HKs?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Did you like the new? Did you like the new like little rockets they had on this one this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing with it is,
they updated that shit. New movie.
and now the thing that this movie also did that I thought was great was. Okay, so I know we are in the midst of like Hollywood for years, diversity and all that stuff, right? It is very Hispanic focused to an extent, but it's not like beating you over the head with like Trump, fuck Trump, that kind of shit, right?
Nah.
I was expecting it. I was really expecting that, like, oh, they're gonna really do this, and it's like, oh, they didn't. All right, cool.
Look. They did one thing though that was. That I'm pretty sure, I don't know, somebody on the route is like, we're not making a motherfucking blog about this. The one brother that had a speaking role died. That's not a spoiler.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He's alive.
I was gonna say, dude didn't die.
Yeah,
that nigga lived.
Yeah, he lived. He lived. That's what I'm saying. He didn't die.
D. I know the one that you're referring to. You're referring to Sister Girl you're referring to Sister Soldier over here who was just in processing, not believing nothing.
No. She ate it. She fucking.
Oh no. D's talking about military dude that's been helping Sarah. That's not really a spoiler because that makes sense on how Sarah gets weapons to fight other Terminators and stuff. But we'll get to that.
Now it's a spoiler because you just say where he came from.
No. It's not really a spoiler.
AKA Sarah. Like, Sarah pulls the Kratos from God of War, where she's like, I have allies in Olympus as well.
Yeah, but I mean, what was great about Sarah though too, like her and John. We thought at the end of T2 that was it, and we found out that other Terminators, and she's been fighting other Terminators since T2. And I thought that was great. It never stopped. It never stopped.
And the best thing, let's make it even more poignant. The best thing about this movie is Linda Hamilton.
Oh yeah.
She is without a doubt. She's without a doubt matter of fact, I should be covering this. This is my favorite franchise.
To this day, killing her off in 3 was a mistake.
Of course it was a mistake. It was a mistake to kill her off in T3, which again, I don't get why some people, not going to say no names, but why some people still think that 3 is the better of the trilogy.
From Lucas. I'm like, what?
Hold on. They still wait. We're talking 3, Salvation, Genesis. How is 3 the best one? Please explain that.
I'm not going into that. I'm not.
I'm not getting into that too because again, we're telling everybody here that's listening to this, please listen to our Terminator podcast where we covered all 6. We covered all 6 movies, and you will hear me. You will hear me go at great length of how much I despised everything past T2.
But Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor,
she hasn't missed a beat. Going back to Linda Hamilton, not only was she by far the best thing about this movie, her character was great, and the way that she carried herself as like the grizzled, like the grizzled warrior of doing nothing but just hunting Terminators all her life.
Drink, pass out, and hunt Terminators.
This made me hate 3 a little bit more now. Like, there are parts of 3 I do like, but I don't like it. But it made me hate 3 a little bit more now. Because if you see how fucking badass she is in this movie, you're thinking to yourself, so why did they make John such a pussy in 3 when that's his mom?
Because they made him in 3 some big conspiracy theorist, like, Judgment Day is happening, it's coming, and I'm like...
but he was still raised by fucking Sarah Connor.
Actually, no. See, remember, in T3, he was just always under the assumption that the Terminators would try to come after him if any type of information ever leaked out about him. So he just lived off the grid, especially when he was on his own. Mm-hmm. And he would just go into hiding all the time. That's all he would do is just hide.
I like how he lived off the grid, but he was like a mile outside of LA. Like, that's not off the grid.
Yeah. I mean, he was, but that's what he was doing. He was living off the grid, trying not to, set off any alarms. Because you got to remember, his mom, and T-800 blew up Cyberdyne. You caused all that mayhem on the highway. You also tried to escape from Pescadero Hospital. You had all that crap happen at the mall, and you also caused all that stuff to happen at that freaking that steel factory.
Is it wild that all took place in the span of a week?
Yes, in a week. And they all ended up. I
like how you went through all of that. Not because oh, you never watched the movie, let me tell you. No, you went through all that because, I'm a fan. I know this shit.
Yeah.
After going through all of that, come on, all of them got their faces on. They had like probably an hour special on America's Most Wanted.
Well, she already said that. She literally was like, hey, man, like, and again, people forget that, because I remember somebody complaining about that, and I'm like, guys, do you remember the fact that she's a wanted woman? It's not like they just wiped her fucking record clean after the end of T2. She's on the fucking run.
Yeah, she lived on the run.
There's a bunch of exposures here. I guess Sarah Connor's dead. They ain't do that.
Get the fuck out of here. Like,
nope.
She tried to tell her back to Mexico and chilled.
But that is the one thing I did love about her character was she has, like you said, CJ, she hasn't missed a beat. She exhibits like everything it took to be a warrior. Basically, you take her character from T2 and you just up the ante, just throw some age on her and show her that she still got irons in the fire.
Yeah.
All right, I do have one complaint, but I won't say it because it is a spoiler.
Okay.
But I do have one complaint about the movie, but other than that, I love it. I love everything.
Dani's character.
How was Arnold in this to y'all though? How was Arnold in this? Because Arnold was so. I will put it to you this way. There was like 20 minutes left, and he actually says a joke. And here's my exact words. Arnold, there are exactly 23 minutes left of this movie. You are not taking this away from Linda Hamilton. This is her movie.
You know what? What was great about this movie, what's great about Arnold, at least to me, I like that he was able to have a presence and not overshadow the other 3 chicks at the process.
Thank you.
Yeah, because for one thing, he didn't need it. Number two, he displayed it very well in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah,
yes he did.
Yeah, I mean,
see what he wait a minute, what he does in the beginning of the movie is perfect. I'm like, you know what? I don't need you doing nothing else. Yeah. You really don't need to do anything else, Arnold.
The rest of the movie, we were fine.
Yeah,
but it's kind of funny that you say that. They tried to do that in Genesis, but you realize very quick in Genesis, wow, Jai Courtney has no fucking personality. Amelia Clark is just in between Game of Thrones. She's not giving a fuck, and everybody else in this movie is just paper. So yes, Arnold was the best thing about it, and you focused on everything he did. But in this one, it is done so well. Where, like you said, he doesn't overshadow the 3 leads in this movie.
Yeah.
And he makes it known that he's there. You root for him, but you don't root for him more than the other girls. It works. And I'm like I said,
I mean,
I'm trying to not say this part, and I won't. So
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
mean, I will say this though.
Like, put it this way. Put it this way. With Arnold, when you go see the movie, he's gonna surprise you.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to do all that. But I know Dani. I know some people felt some sort of way, but I'm like, well, let's be real. She's basically playing 84 Sarah Connor, just somebody that's like.
You know what it is? I already know the complaint, and this is the already answer to that complaint. Shut the fuck up. You mad that they made John Connor? John Connor's not the special no more. Meaning the boy is not the special. Grow the fuck up.
But I mean, she's put. Special, but it makes sense. What?
She deserves to be. Not only is she the special, she deserves to be the special. You didn't say shit in Terminator 1, and you're not going to start it right now when it comes to this shit. So because I already know the dude bros, because there's like 2 lines in this movie, and I just sat back like, yo, they're going to get pissed on that. Oh, yo, that's going to be the drum.
But what wiles me out though, it's like here's the contradictory of it all, right? They didn't give 2 ounces of a fuck when Linda Hamilton was like this powerful woman in T2. They ate that shit up.
Yeah, everybody.
It wiles me out because I'm like,
hold on.
But you complain about this?
Wait, hold on. I got to comment on that. Like, first of all, CJ, you got to think this was 1991. 1991. We looked up the characters like this, seeing her transformation from, from freaking deer in headlights Sarah Connor in 84, and you do see the slight progression by the time you get to the end of that movie. But when we see her in T2, dude, it's like a completely different character.
Well, not really, because
the way that she goes about it, you see her growth, you see her depth as her character has grown. You see that, number one, she doesn't trust anything. Number two, she knew from the get-go, be prepared. I mean, come on. After crushing a T-800 in a hydraulic press, would you trust anything anymore?
No. And that's what makes it... Oh, yeah.
And but you already know that they're going to say this, and this is going to be the line that they're going to use for Dani. She hasn't earned it. You know that's going to be the line.
Oh, okay. Look.
You already know.
Look, I already know because anytime... I would say... Can we say that Force Awakens pretty much was the spark that set that trend
reason.
Off?
It really did.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because
it was. And hold on. I'm not saying, when I say that, I'm not saying that I follow that. I'm just going to say that ever since that movie came out, there have been several movies where it puts female characters in positions of power, which makes everybody who watches, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but it makes a certain minority or majority of viewers watch it and go, she didn't deserve it, or she didn't earn it.
Which is ridiculous.
How do you get these I win powers off the break when you didn't do any type of training for it?
But when you look at Dani, though, if you think about, look at who she was surrounded with. You got Grace, who clearly has been in war-torn future of all that shit popping off. Then you got fucking Sarah Connor, who is pretty much blunt and straight to the point. Like, she doesn't fuck around with Dani, and it's like, look, you want to learn how to shoot? Here's this gun. Point, shoot, let's go.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's something Sarah never really had, because it's not like Cal Reese could inherently show her stuff other than, hey, here's how to make a pipe bomb and shoot a gun. That's about it.
Well, that did take place in the first movie.
Well, I know it did, but it wasn't to the degree of like
in the first movie, I believe it was all deleted scenes. Like he showed her how to shoot.
I'm just saying in terms of what's being presented, because like I said, once you got to the second movie, we found out when she went down to Mexico and she learned all that stuff from her connect down there. That's how she learned how to kind of get to that stage of improvisation. But I like that in this movie, they just showed Dani progressing to that point, because she's basically, like Sarah said, oh, she's just like me when this happened to me. Like,
yeah. Like it's the first movie all over again. But instead of following that formula and going back to the well, it's like, yeah, we're gonna go back to the well, but we're not going for water. We're taking a different approach here. And I liked what they did with her. I really liked how her character went from like, so this is what's going on. Okay, yes, I'm at the first stages of I don't believe it. I can't believe it. What just happened? I need to figure things out. And then you get to that point where you hit the wall and be like, you know what? I'm going to go through this. Yeah. There's either two things can happen. I can either run, hide, and die, or I'm gonna stick it out and fight this thing head on. And you see, she went for that turn real quick, especially that part where she said, "I'm gonna use myself as bait. Is that all right with you, Grace?"
Yeah, and it's not like Grace had a choice; she had to do it and stuff. But I'll say this:
Rev she denied it. She was like, "Don't do it, don't do it." Oh yeah, she fought for it, but.
And if I could pull my my Stewie card from Family Guy, ooh, someone's wearing their ovaries on the outside.
Basically, I mean, like,
there's
look,
a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of if it's like big dick energy. What's the female version of that? I know big dick energy. There's a lot of big dick energy. It really is.
I mean, it's now, I mean, to the point to it, real talk. Grace literally tells freaking Sarah, "I will fuck you up," and I was like, okay, that happened.
And I love Sarah, and I love.
I'm like, yo, flex on her now.
I did
flex on her now. I guarantee she fuck you up.
No, I didn't. No, you know what's better? After she said that, Sarah looked, smiled, and just said, "I'm driving."
It's like, that's cute. That's
like cute. That's cute. That is cute.
I'll say this.
Again, that's cute. Wait, hold on. That's cute. You know what? T-800 hydraulic press. 1995 T-1000. I took an actual stab to the shoulder. So, please, give me what you got.
I mean,
she look Harris. She says, like one day, and you're like, wait a minute, that's the day Tupac died. There was a brawl in that hotel, and I was.
Yo, let me tell you what, man. I love the Rev-9 because he had that semblance of Rob Patrick, of that like nice guy, and then he'll just kill you off break.
Dude, okay.
I can actually say everybody except TX was like that, man. Everybody except TX was
go into me. To go into the abilities and powers of the Rev-9. This Rev-9 was so awesome because, again, it's super unassuming. He does the one thing that I'm so glad they learned from like the previous Terminator films is don't make these cyborgs. They're supposed to be infiltration units. Don't make them so obviously robotic.
Oh, there was a moment. I'm not going to spoil the moment, but there was a moment where he took somebody and he did have the robotic look, and I like how he immediately adapted. And
the robotic.
He knew. Yeah, he knew right away. Like the first person he encountered, he just looked at him and goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Smile.
My bad."
Let me smile and show them now.
So let me just give him that smile. He plays it off real well, dude. You want to know my favorite line? One of my favorite lines from him was when he goes right before he goes to the metal detector. "Sorry, boys, my whole body is a weapon."
Yeah. Bring this through.
Like, he walked away like, two tours in Afghanistan, got a metal hip, yeah.
Oh, did my thing.
And did you notice that at least with this one was kind of like the TX in the fact that it changed its voice. Remember, he went from country voice to pure white guy voice to that's obviously a black dude. Yeah. He had different voices.
To his Hispanic voice.
He's like, you know when he meets the two cops again, like not to spoil, but there's a scene where he meets two cops and he goes, "Say, you want to know where I can get my hands on a chopper?"
Well, I mean, even to the point that
again, he pulls cues from Robert Patrick instead of looking at him and going, "Say, that's a nice cruiser."
Which clearly we knew T-1000 killed that cop for that goddamn bike, but that's neither here nor there.
There's. I will say this though, there is one scene. It's not one scene actually. It's actually goes back into what you said that it had that robotic look and all that. The one thing that these robots have done since the TX, you can tell that was a robot off the break. But the one thing I have noticed about the Terminators is that they all have to have one aspect of them. They have to be broken as fuck, but they have to be beatable. That's the thing. They have to be beatable. And the more broken, the more impossible it is to keep them down, the better. The one thing that I think that the TX did it well, but it didn't do it well enough. The T-1000 did it perfectly because they threw everything at it and nothing could keep it down. This one, same feeling, especially when that, especially the part right now, not that part. Whatever. Look, see, I'm about to give it away. No, but still, it's the same thing with this one. Like, what is it going to take to keep this motherfucker down? That's what makes Terminator so.
You know, just to cover, just to cover you on that, the Rev-9 displays that throughout the whole movie. Like, yo, what stops you?
Exactly.
I mean, because it's
like, how do you kill this thing?
Like I joke about it. In Terminator Genesis is only because they established nothing with the Terminator in that one. They established nothing. So I always say, okay, what's your rules, dude? Can you jump in the air? Like, is there like something you can't do? But the problem about the ones in Genesis, even though that one Chinese dude, I thought he would have been fair, but they didn't use him enough. But even with that one, they fucked up. Not only were they broken, they were very beatable. There was no tension. And just the fact that we got this in spades, and it made me, I wouldn't say it made me feel just like when I watched a T-1000. Come on, we was like 10 when I saw that. So, you know what I mean? It ain't going to be the same feeling, but it was the same feeling of, holy shit. Like, somebody throw a boat at this nigga, something.
I mean, the most that they could do,
throw the chewing gum at it. Maybe that'll work.
The most they could do was slow it down, and that's always the thing. And even though you try to slow it down, it's when they do stuff to it, and they always ask themselves two questions: did we at least slow it down, or did that do it?
I liked in the beginning of the movie, they was more like, it was something happened like, yeah, he's not going to be down for long. So come on, let's go. Move.
Well, that was the thing too. The movie knows how to just get straight to the point. There is no like dawdling. It's just, hey, here's Grace. Here where she live. Okay, so here's Dani. Here's Grace. Here's the T9. They're back in time now. So off to the races. Straight up.
Yeah, get right to the point.
And it did very good with that. They gave just a little bit of background for Dani. And it didn't need to be nothing more than that. Thank God. It really didn't need nothing more, because that could have dragged the movie. When you give too much background on characters like that, it drags the movie. Notice, and Eris, we will all know this, it was almost in the same way they did Linda Hamilton in the first one.
That's exactly what they did.
Just enough about her. Where you sympathize with her when she get in that situation. They did just enough.
The only difference is with the first movie and this one is like a straight up action film, where the first movie was shot more of like a film noir.
Actually, to me, personally and stuff, I think the first film was like a horror movie if you really think about it.
I think it's more thriller. I would say more sci-fi thriller.
It's a sci-fi thriller. Yeah. Sci-fi thriller, but there were many elements in the first movie. Yeah, sci-fi thrillers. There were some horror elements. It was definitely film noir, and
what you call cyberpunk noir.
Yeah,
it was cyberpunk noir.
Yeah,
there was, and honestly, I missed that. I really do miss that from Cameron when he made the first Terminator. He didn't really get that in the second movie. Like, honestly, he has not made another Terminator movie like the first one since the first one. I mean, even with this one, with all of his, all of his input and everything that he put into this movie, it's more of a straight up action film. And thank God that this movie was rated R and not PG-13.
Let me ask y'all guys this though.
Notice that personally. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, because this is, I guess, we're really wrapping it up and stuff. Let me ask you this. So, whenever you get movies like this and stuff, a lot of critics and people, period, sit there and say, oh, it's blah, 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 it's great, but it's just so derivative of the first two. But I often wonder, is it a case of, do people not notice the new stuff that's happening? And they just feel it's so much... Because, I mean, we've talked at length during this whole review of how there's semblance of the first two movies and other movies and stuff. And I know people might take that as a derivative, but do you feel that's to the detriment of the film, that it's so derivative of the first two? Or is it actually to its advantage?
I don't feel... Hold on, I'll answer that. I don't feel like it does that, like, intentionally. I mean, first of all, every Terminator movie does that. They'll take something from the previous films, whether it's an element or a scene or a line, and they will throw it into the movie, not just out of 10 for the fans, and other times for establishing a point. Like, there's a point of taking this element from the first or second or even the third movie and using it in this new movie. And most of the time, especially throughout this movie, it worked.
It feels like I agree with you actually, by the way. What it really feels like is like I hate it when it's not even so much critics. I get it. You're trying to put in you're trying to ask a good question, and it is a decent question in my opinion. But sometimes it's like shut the fuck up because you just don't pay attention to the story or the big one. You don't care for it, and a lot of critics will put their I don't care for it opinion out there as the general opinion, and it's the one thing I hammer in with our little group and us with ourselves. I always hammer in, breathe, think about it, see it from somebody else's opinion, then and you're allowed to be snobbish about it when it comes to certain things, and then give your opinion. And if you still have that pretentious look at it, then maybe you're the fucking problem.
or D, you can do what I normally do every time we go to screenings. I go into these movies expecting nothing.
You should. And you know, it's kind of funny. I don't, but at the same time, I get what you mean, because there are some films that we do get where it's like, okay, brain, go home. I talk to you in 2 hours. All right, peace, D. Like I do that in a way to get out of my own way.
Yeah.
And I've said this, and Chris knows this. I said this on several movies and stuff that we judge. I don't want to go back on what anybody else says. I don't want to go back on what even I said about it. Because if I had that, I would have never enjoyed like several of the movies we've seen. So you have to kind of go in there with an expectation of absolute zero. And if you still have the same opinion, either A, maybe that really is the thing, or B, you're just being a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
Yeah.
So I always go with that idea. I always like that idea. Going expecting nothing. But then sometimes there needs to be...
Chris, you're typing.
Sorry.
What you say?
No, I meant to mute myself. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know Chris types. Anyway, but then there's a line. There's a line that I think people should draw sometimes where it's like, dog, this is trash. You know it's trash. No, it's not. It's trash, dog. It's left the station. Like, stop, dog. And like I said this about Chris when we was talking about the Cowboys the other day. The way Chris sees the Cowboys is like Homer looking at that pig flying through the air. It's just a little airborne. It's still good. Like in the sense of movies, it's like it's just a bad scene. It's still good. I mean, come on, dog. You had to see the first 3 movies. It's still good. Like, dog, no, stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to tell yourself the truth.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I will give Tim Miller credit. He directed a hell of a good movie. Like I said, the visuals are pretty good.
Yeah, I do want to talk about how it was shot. There were a number of really, really, really good shots that were done. Personally, I need to go see this movie in IMAX to see like the real IMAX shots, because that screener did not do that movie any justice. It really did me no favors. I need to see this in IMAX.
Yeah,
I do too. Because especially that one scene where the first scene in the movie where we saw the Rev-9 split the first time. I need to see that in IMAX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean the effects for how they did it was actually pretty great, because it felt like kind of like a stop motion thing where he's like in one position as he's forming and stuff, you know. So
it kind of reminded me of graphics I seen. Like it sounds fucked up, but it reminds me of, you know, when you see like graphics during sports games, Chris, it's like water. It looked like that to me. It kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So so the bottom line, everybody, go see this movie.
Yes, go see this movie.
You'll enjoy it.
And if you don't like this movie, well, look, and if you don't like this movie, well, maybe you're the fucking problem. hey, look, what you want me to tell you? Look, I'm telling the truth. You're the fucking problem, because this movie is actually pretty damn good. And I'm glad it's, like you said, Chris, back to form.
Oh, it's definitely back to form. I mean, like I said, again, it's not taking anything away from the other movies, but I felt the movies were doing too much. Like, I don't know whether you, D, or whether you, Eric, said this about like how people have so many ideas. I think it was you, D. It's the thing of you have all these ideas, but your execution of it just sucks.
Yeah, and that's what I said about Salvation. And to be honest with you, as much as I fucking hate it, I kind of feel that way about Genesis in a couple of areas. You kind of feel like, dude, if you just did X, Y, Z, you'd be better. But then again, I'm a critic that knows too fucking much. So whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have me, where I just look at Genesis as this thing was a dumpster fire from Jump Street.
Nigga, look. Let's just be real. The only thing that looked good about that it was the motherfucking promo work they did for Entertainment Weekly. That was the best thing about it.
Let's be real. I think.
And like the promo, as well as Old Man Arnold taking on 84 Arnold.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think you can kind of summate Dark Fate kind of like the old Capcom motto of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep that shit simple and just you don't have to go crazy with your story. Keep that shit simple. Keep it to the point. Done. Don't add all these dumbass twists. Just keep it to the point.
I do want to ask one last question before we close out. Now, the first movie was 1984. Second one, 1991. Now, let's act like Rise of the Machines, Salvation, and Genesis never existed. If we waited nearly 20, 30 years for this movie to come out, what do you think the reaction would be?
You said if those three never came out?
If the last three movies never existed, mm-hmm. and this movie came out as like an actual sequel. I mean, it took finally James Cameron finally got a break from Avatar and everything else that he was working on and said, you know what? I'm making this movie. I'm making Terminator. I'm getting Arnold. I'm getting Linda. And we're going to put this thing back together. And well, not even back together. We're going to put this thing together and we're going to close out the trilogy.
I think it would be.
I think it would have hampered it being a 30-year gap. But at the same time, I think that's what would save the movie.
Yeah.
Because that's just a big gap of no movies, and to be honest with you, that would work. But at the same time,
or better yet, don't even have a gap. Just let it have been the first two movies.
Well, like 3 years later?
No, I don't want it to be 3 years, like 3 years after the second movie. I meant like let it come out maybe 10 years later. Matter of fact, let Rise of the Machines have been this movie instead.
Well, I think it's this. I think the years makes it easier in terms of telling the story because now you have this older. I think it also helps you don't have to worry about, okay, we have to de-age Linda a little bit to be 10 years later and all. So it's like if you keep it 30 years later with this, I think if you didn't have those previous three movies, like you said, like D said, it would have went over better, and I think it also wouldn't have the weight that the previous three movies did. Because, I mean, let's be real, every review is talking about, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines and Salvation, blah, blah, blah. That's scattered in everybody's review, so you take that out the equation. Now people are like, oh, this is back to form, we're getting the game back together, we're not, it's basically, again, back to basics.
However, CJ, if there was anything that people would have had to go on besides the first two movies, it would have been the books.
True. That is 100% true. So, yeah.
Yeah. But once again, everyone that's listening, thank you very much for listening to us. Please go see this movie. It comes out, I believe, November 1st.
Yeah, it's coming out Friday. As you'll be hearing this podcast on Friday.
And in fact, go see this movie in IMAX.
If you can.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, we catch you guys later. Peace.
We done.